Okay, before I start this review, remember this from the end of the Batman movie vlog, how I couldn't get this thing to work? Well, guess what?
I smell fear
Yep.
on you!
Yeah, I finally got it to work. Though I also read on the back of the box that you shouldn't use this thing more than 50 times because if you do, then the thing's gonna, like, I don't know, explode or something. But that's okay because I used it for about. Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Day. It's me once again. Welcome back to another video game review. This time it is going to be on Elden Ring, baby. Yeah, Elden Ring. We've waited so long for this. We finally got Elden Ring. I cannot tell you how long I've been playing this game for. And before I go any further, I just want to make one thing perfectly clear. I have not finished this game. I think I'm like at the halfway point of the game. I've been playing for like 35 hours. I know I should have been playing a whole lot more, but I had work and movies to see and stuff like that. But I feel like there is just enough for me to talk about after my 35 hours of play. And I am going to continue playing more once I'm done with this review. But, despite the fact that, I don't really like reviewing games until I have at least finished the main story, but I don't think I'm going to finish the story of this anytime soon. I mean, it only took me 32 hours to beat Demon's Souls, but Demon's Souls is a little different. This is Elden Ring, probably From Software's most massive game yet, but if this was something like Portal 3, or a new Resident Evil game, or a new Call of Duty campaign, then yes, I would have to beat the game before reviewing the game. But since there's so much to do, it might take you hundreds of hours to beat. I am going to make an exception because I really want to talk about this game, even though I'm probably not going to finish it anytime soon. But this is mostly some main impressions I'm going to give. But you know what? When I get my rating, I think my rating is going to stay that way. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. Elden Ring is developed by From Software, one of the biggest video game companies of modern time. They are known for their punishingly difficult Souls series, which I'm a massive fan of, Bloodborne, and they went all out here, okay? You explore a massive open world filled to the brim with bosses to fight, areas to explore, dungeons to take on, and so much while you're on the search for the one and only Elden Ring. This is an action RPG just like the others were, but there is a lot of things that separate this from other From Software games. And just to be sure, I took notes because there's actually quite a bit that I do want to discuss in here, and I'm not even fully finished with the game, but alright. So first off, when I did my ranking of the Soulsborne slash Dark Souls games, I ranked Bloodborne as number one, as it's one of my favorite games of all time, and I think that game perfected the From Software formula. Guys, I don't know how to say this, but this game, I think it might even be better than Bloodborne. In fact, this is one of the best games I've ever played. I am not exaggerating, but this game, the praise is real. I mean, you can definitely see where the praises come from, and not just due to the fact that it's probably their best looking game. Now, yes, I am aware that at launch, the PC version had a lot of technical issues due to the fact that the graphics card that they might be using might not be as strong and mouse sensitivity, but it's been a week and Bandai Namco has listened. I mean, when they first heard about this, they did listen and they did manage to patch things up a bit. Even the PS5 version, it's not so perfect either. At least, the one major feature that was annoying was the fact that the save feature was a little bit broken. Like, usually, you know how sometimes when you pause, you just pause the game and you put it into rest mode and do something else and then come back to the game and then without having to worry about all those load screens and stuff. Well, This time, if you're playing the game and something happens to your PlayStation, then you're gonna lose that progress if you don't save correctly. But Bandai Namco did listen to this and they fixed that feature, so you do not have to worry. It is the perfect time to play the game if you were still worried about these issues, okay? Now, like I said before, there was a lot to love about this game. Okay, the praise is real. Also, I pre-ordered this from Best Buy and they sent me the steelbook of this game too. There's no disc inside. It's just the in case I want to put it in here. I'm not going to show the back because there's something back here that they put my they put a sticker on here that I don't really want to show, but yeah. Anyways, people might go into this thinking that it's just another Dark Souls clone. Well, there's a lot that sets this apart from the Soulsborne games. First off, the steed, the spirit steed you get. What was it called? Um, I forgot. Spectral steed. I think that's what it is. That's one of the biggest main things about this game is that when you use him, you can explore a lot more, and the spectral steed you can use against bosses and stuff. While riding on it, you can take on bosses. Well, not all the bosses, but a lot of the bosses throughout the open world. Then there's just a lot to do with the spectral steed. He can also help you with double jumps and stuff like that. It was just so much fun to do, and I really think it did not disappoint. And another thing too that sets this apart is that you can explore almost every single area without having to be worried about getting stuck on a boss. I mean, yeah, there are some linear sections that the game takes you through that does remind you of Dark Souls a bit, but there's a lot of bosses that you could just take on later. And that's one thing that Dark Souls didn't really have. I mean, there were some optional bosses, but there were a lot of bosses that you did have to take on in order to progress, like Ornstein and Smaug in Dark Souls 1. That's one of the hardest bosses of all time, and you had to fight that boss in order to progress throughout the main story. Also, there are a lot of story quests to take on, but the game doesn't hold your hand. You're going to have to figure out what you have to do. You can always look online. I think that's the best way you're going to make progress is if you look online, because despite the fact that there was a huge map to explore, I feel like there's a lot you should look up online in order for you to like fully get the details of where you should go next. Also, what sets this game apart is that when you fight off enemies, if you kill certain enemies, then you get your Estus flasks back once in a while. Like, you know, the things that you use to heal up. If you're worried about having low Estus, if you do kill an enemy, you will get that Estus back without having to go back to your last save or the grace things, which is what they're called, instead of bonfires, which is quite helpful. I mean, it's not something that happens often. I mean, of course, you're going to get a lot more Estus once you get the seeds to upgrade your stuff like that. There's also a lot of hidden areas to discover. There's catacombs and caves to explore, which have like mini bosses. But some of them do feel the same, but that's okay because there are a lot of awesome mainstream bosses to take on. And this game has like 50 bosses. FromSoft went all out with the bosses here. Like, there's just so many. Some are going to cream you, and there are some that do feel like cakewalks. There's also the day and night cycle. There are some enemies that can only be taken on during the nighttime, and they're a little bit harder, but there wasn't a point where I was just struggling throughout the night system. You can always switch from day to night, just like in other RPGs. So yeah, but the game still doesn't hold your hand. I mean, you do have to go to certain areas in order to progress. But hey, that's all forgiving because this game has a lot to offer. Even when you feel like it doesn't, there's always a new area to explore. There's always something for you to do throughout. Like, there was just so much stuff that I felt like doing just before having to reach the final boss, which I haven't even gotten to yet. But that's okay because I do not want to finish this game because this game just has so much, so many areas to do. I want to try beating all the bosses, maybe even platinum the game, even though I don't think that's ever going to happen because when it came out, no one got the platinum trophy. Like, right now, last time I checked, 0.1 of people have gotten the trophy. Now, of course, one thing I have not talked about yet, and which I really should be talking about, is the difficulty. Yeah, it's a From Software game. Of course, it's going to be difficult, but you know what? Compared to FromSoft's other games, this makes Dark Souls, Demon Souls, and Bloodborne look easier than Tetris. There are enemies that can take you down in 2 hits if you don't know what you're doing, but this game advises you to use combat in the best way that you possibly can, because there are so many ways you can use combat. There are big weapons you can use, there is like dual wielding weapons you can use, and there are 10 different classes that you can take upon. And I really wanted to make sure that I chose the right one. I don't think I did, but I still made a hell of a lot of progress. Some people might be better at combat, some people might be better at magic, some people might be better at bow and arrow, and there are even some like really hard to find spells you can use that can completely break the game and make the game almost too easy. And with all that the game has to offer, I just wanted to try doing it all, even though it might take me a long time to fully boost up the character that I absolutely wanted to. The game still has a lot to offer in terms of areas to explore, enemies to take on, and From Software just really went out with this one, with the enemies and the bosses and the world. It's basically Breath of the Wild on multiple systems. It's like if you take Dark Souls and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, put them together, and you get this. The world is outstanding. There's tons of areas to explore. There's tons of stuff to do that'll keep you occupied for hours. It's going to kick your ass so many times, but it's also going to reward you with your patience and your skills. And there's just so much to do. And there's always something for that one person that gets stuck on an area. You can always come back to it later, go to another area to explore. When people go in and they keep dying over and over, you might feel like you're not making any progress, but there is a lot of progress to be made. And I definitely felt like I was starting to get better the more I progressed. And in the end, guys, this is a game that is going to stick with me for hours upon hours upon hours, okay? I have died so many times, but I have not given up. This is a game that is going to stick with me. It has the best world out of all the From Software games. It has the best combat. It has the best lore. It has some really interesting NPCs that I do want to finish their quests for. And it has a lot of quests to offer, even when it seems like it doesn't, but it's just something that you're probably going to have to write down. This is not just another Dark Souls game that they're trying to do. This is a brand new game, and it's by far their most ambitious, their most open, and this game has a lot to offer for new players and old players, especially old players, because if you expect a cakewalk, then you might as well just not play the game. But I highly advise playing the game, and it's a real shame that this is not going to be for everyone, because if you came here for just a regular RPG, then you're not going to get that, because these are not regular RPGs. There are different types of RPGs. In fact, I feel like the Dark Souls games made a new genre for RPGs. And I can definitely see where the criticisms have come from. I mean, I get why the criticisms come from the past Dark Souls games and Bloodborne, because they're definitely not for everyone. But for someone who has beaten all the Dark Souls games, has really had a lot going throughout this game. But in the end, guys, I absolutely adore Elden Ring, and I do not exaggerate when I say this is literally one of the best games I ever played. It's easily the best game I played all decade, and it's really going to be hard for another game to come out this year to top this. It has the best world, it has the best lore, it's a visual treat, there's tons of weapons to get, there are tons of ways to customize your character with the best armor and the best skills that you can get. And the list just goes on and on and on and on, and I cannot sit here forever and talk about it. You're just going to have to discover it for yourself. But Elden Ring is a must play for all those who have experienced the past Souls games or all of From Software's other games, from Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Sekiro. It has a lot to offer for returning fans of their games, and I can definitely say this is fully worth the price. Do not expect an easy mode because it is never going to get an easy mode, and I do not want it to get an easy mode because this game kicked my ass, but it kicked my ass in the best way possible. It's a masterpiece, and I'm just gushing about it. Like, I could not stop talking about it, and I can't stop talking about it here because there's still so much that I want to talk about, but I can't. I got to get back to the game, so I am just going to give you guys what you probably expected. Yeah, the game doesn't run perfect. I played it on PS5, obviously because it's the PS5 version. It might not run perfect, but Bloodborne didn't run perfect on the PS4, and that's one of my favorite games of all time. I gave that the exact same score. But yeah, it's going to get way better over time. I mean, especially with Bandai Namco listening to us and patching things up on day one, or not exactly on day one, but hearing about this, they knew exactly what was going on with the game after listening to feedback. But yeah, anyways, I got to get back to the game because God only knows what other games are going to be coming for me a mile away, or perhaps even closer. I want to try beating it before at least before summer. But hey, I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna have to try to make my character overpowered. But I've been talking about this too much. But hey, definitely play this game. It's worth every single penny, and I highly advise you to check it out, even if you aren't a Dark Souls fan. This is probably the best way to start off your experience in the Dark Souls world, even though it's not a Dark Souls game, but it definitely feels that way. It's Dark Souls meets Breath of the Wild. Yeah, it's everything I wanted it to be. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.